All right, let's get this show on the road. Our keynote this year knows a little bit about healing, and I'm very proud to introduce Sir Cougar. Cougar is an old school butch who fully entered the leather community over 3 decades ago. Your eyes would glaze over if he listed all his community activities. But you can find that leather resume online. Having just stepped aside from ownership of South Plains Leather Festival International Master Slave Contest, he's concentrating on himself, Slave Marsha, his lovely wife of 16 years. Let's give her a hand. His family, including patriarch, Master Jim, his boy CJ, and taking a breath before he figures out what he wants to do next. Hi. You can be sure that classes, travel, and more time on his Harley are predominantly in that mix. For relaxation, he enjoys reading, music, studying nature, and a good cup of high-octane coffee. A direct descendant of Quanah Parker, he received his Comanche name from his great-grandfather at the age of 6, and it has remained the name that he most closely identifies with throughout the years. Raised Roman Catholic, Cougar found paganism while in the military, and finally settled on being a practitioner of animism and totemism to provide peace and guidance in his life. Observation and process during his time in law enforcement, emergency medicine, massage, event planning, and community situations have structured his approach to justice and healing. Having a red-headed titanium femme lawyer for a wife has only added several dimensions to his outlook and arsenal in dealing with life's ups and downs. He believes the community needs people who understand that doing right is more important than being right. And after 2 years of isolation, we all need to be gentle with each other as we come back together and learn how to be humane again. Ladies and gentlemen, Sir Cougar. Thank you.
I had this speech all written whenever I got here. Now, there's a couple of notes that I added, but I got here, and y'all's energy is just like outrageous. I don't know how many of y'all watch NCIS, but Gibbs is always hitting somebody in the back of the head. And I've had so many moments that were like that since I agreed to do this. When I was leaving Dallas after being asked to do this, I've lived in Texas all my life, and I had just left South Plains, and I looked up, and there was a bald eagle flying over the street. And it was all I could do not to pull over at that moment and text Shallie, because I knew Shallie would know what that meant to me. So we arrived in Denver, picked up our rental car, and we're coming down the highway. Decided I wanted to go ahead and stop and get something to drink, and we're just fresh out of the plane. So we took a right-hand turn because y'all's convenience stores are like a long way from the corners and shit. We've got convenience stores on every corner you ever come across. So it's like, yeah, I gotta go back out the back back 40 to find a damn convenience store. So I pull off and I see a sign that the store's a half a mile ahead, and the GPS system isn't agreeing with me. It says, make a U-turn at South Plains Parkway in Aurora. My hand to God's. I will not make up something for that. And I almost drove into the oncoming traffic. So I'm like, look at Marcia, did it say South Plains? So we got something to drink. We go on a little bit farther, and I see something flying. It's the second eagle I've ever seen outside of Alaska. Okay. At one point, I was sitting and looking out my window after we had arrived and stuff, and I looked across the street, and there I went, honey, there's a crow across the street. I stopped and looked at it. It was a raven. We don't have ravens down in Texas. And I always wanted to become friends with a raven. So I'd like to read to you. These come from, so I'm not accused of plagiarism or anything, but I felt like it was important enough and connected with this conference. I haven't even begun my keynote yet, folks. It comes from purespirit.com and uniguide.com. But it says, if an individual has been going through a tough time, the eagle not only signals a new beginning, but provides that person with the stamina and resilience to endure the difficulties. If the eagle has appeared, it bestows friendship, freedom, and courage to look ahead. Summon the eagle when you're about to embark on a challenge, a massive life change, or creative endeavor. I truly believe that has everything to do with this conference. Now the raven totem represents the protective powers and insights. This totem serves as a powerful symbol for transformation, intelligence, and the fine-tuning of your third eye. Eyes seeing. Remember this, you'll see it later. The raven is also a symbol for the long-term success in love and finding devoted and faithful partnerships. I believe we all need to establish this if we're going to rebuild our community in the real world. Then we went shopping yesterday. Marcia comes up and hands me a card. I look at it, it's got a raven on the front, and the words below it say, healing, rebirth, and transformation. There ain't nothing subtle about y'all's energy. Nothing. Welcome, everyone. Hasn't it been a great weekend? It's really good to be out, around, and within the community again. This has truly been a healing weekend, healing together weekend. A little bit of housekeeping. Desire. I said I wasn't going to do that, but I had other people tell me I had to. So thank you. When I was asked to speak with you here, I was deeply honored and a bit stunned. Now's my keynote, folks. As I was busy managing my last South Plains, I completely forgot to ask what the event's theme was. So after I got at least 1 foot back in my regular life, I got on the phone with a couple of questions, one of which was, theme? Healing together? Wow, okay. Next question was, why me? I asked if there was some area of my life, persona, skill set that was of special interest. And I'll paraphrase the response I got. Well, you've been around a long time and we figured you've seen a lot. Most of you have been to South Plains. You know that I usually would rather be anywhere else and doing anything else than standing on the stage with the mic in my hand. So I was grinding gears with the magnitude of possibilities of giving this speech about healing together. So much so that the generalized comment about me being an old fart just whizzed past me and I wasn't even offended by it. Wow. Healing together. Okay, let's break that down a bit with my history of the community and then we'll do healing. You've been around a long time. 1980, 1990, 2000, 2001, 2002. Yeah, I have. That I have. I've been the first or the only one in a lot of areas of my life. Single child, first grandchild, first great-grandchild, only kid in the Catholic schoolroom with divorced parents, only gay person that I knew of in my elementary and junior high, only person in my high school graduating class to go into service instead of college, the only female in my law enforcement class and one of maybe 5 MPs on the whole base, all working different posts and shifts. So when I entered the leather community, I was the only dyke in a lot of men's clubs. Almost all of this was pre-internet, so it was hard to find what you weren't even sure what you were looking for. Today, it's so much easier. Pretty much all you have to do is turn on your computer and hit Google. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I value community like I do. Because when I have had to earn something, whether it be a leather patch, or whether it be the title of United States Marine, it means more to me. I asked my first girl to marry me when I was about 6. But I was a loner. So other than the fact that I really preferred, my uncles had gone off to the service, I really preferred playing with their gadgets instead of all my aunts. Everything just seemed normal until I hit junior high and the hormones started kicking in. Imagine a 14-year-old growing up in a small coastal town, being sent to Catholic schools and always knowing there was something different about you, but you can't name it and don't see anyone else like you. I was out running track one day and ran into a female rugby player. She was such a tomboy that it took a while for me to figure out that she really was a she. I was fascinated with this creature, oh my God, because she looked exactly like what I wanted to see when I looked in the mirror. My friendship with her led to being introduced to a friend of hers who went to the public high school, and I know those girls were a wild bunch. I had heard all kinds of stories from my Catholic teachers. The second girl became my lover. I found out that there was a dyke flagged football game every Saturday, just about 3 blocks from my house, and I started attending them just to watch, because I didn't like football, but I just wanted to see other people like me. I could see that community. I just couldn't figure out a way to break into it. My lover told me that there was a hidden gay bar that we could occasionally get into, so I began to hatch a plan. My idols at that time were Leif Garrett, Sean Cassidy, Andy Gibb, and there were magazines that came out every month like Tiger Beat and 16, with all kinds of stories and photos in them. In my mind, I was cool back then and could pick up any girl I wanted. And there was also a couple magazines like Song Hits. They had the lyrics to all the popular songs, so if you were having an argument with your best friend about what the correct lyrics were, you could get that to back you up. On the very back of that Song Hits magazine, there was an ad you could purchase ID cards that would be sent to any address with any information you sent them. I had found a way to age 4 years overnight. But back then, the bar rules were way more lenient, and the security guard checking IDs would greet me with a head shake, smile, and tell me to stay out of trouble and not let him catch me drinking. I remember walking into that dark, seedy bar for the first time, holding my breath, and then inhaling the stale scent of cigarettes and spilled drinks from the decades-old carpet. It was awful and absolutely wonderful. I was finally in a place where I wasn't the odd man out or the black sheep. The community took me under their wing to help keep me out of trouble and explain all the ins and outs, such as if I saw flashlights in the crowd, the cops were scanning the area, and I needed to head to the bathroom, leave the stall door ajar, but stand on the toilet seat so that anyone looking under the stall didn't see any feet that needed to be identified. Or if I was with a group of friends, I could discreetly take a sip out of one of their drinks, but to never try and order one of my own. It was from those people that I learned how to take care of myself and those around me. After the military, I returned to Texas, and the internet was still in its infancy. We didn't have conferences. We had runs. You found out about them by going to a bar and checking the notice boards, or you got a snail mail invitation if you had previously attended. It was a wildly spectacular run if you had 50 in attendance, and there weren't classes. Those would come later when we realized we had to teach each other about safer sex. But there were bar hops, drinking, scenes, and a true sense of community. For agents, one of the questions I've heard most of is, why do gays, and you can substitute any marginalized group here, have to have parades and days? It's so that we aren't alone and we can actually see there are others like us. Those spaces form connections and a sense of belonging. We all get a sense of fulfillment when we share space with a group of people who share our values, goals, and attitude. Our communities contribute to a sense of a fulfilled life. That connection feeds both our mental and our physical health. All right, now on to the healing. Boy, it's been a hell of 2 years, hasn't it? We've lost people, places, things, jobs, and sometimes parts of ourselves along the way. But maybe we found some things also, or come to appreciate some things even more. And we've definitely found some new ways of doing things, even if they aren't exactly the preferred way. My family's healing began about a year ago when we sat down and discussed whether South Plains 2022 could be done or not. I really wasn't sure, but being the patriarch that he is, Master Jim decided that we were going to let South Plains Leather Fest go in the way that we wanted. We were not going to let COVID take one more thing away from us, and we were going to gamble it all and roll the dice that we could give you one last year in the style which you had become accustomed to under our leadership. A lot of our attendees have told us that we were the last event they attended at the start of the pandemic, and they were the first one at the end. I believe we are now taking our first steps back to normalcy, or at least our new normalcy. You don't have to be in the medical field to be a healer. Sometimes you can help just by seeing a person. Remember, we talked about that third eye. Seeing people is a talent I learned because of an abusive father. I learned to watch his body language to predict what was happening next. It serves me well now when I'm watching someone and I feel the need to heal or help them. You might be amazed at how you can turn someone's day around just by putting your phone away, addressing them by name, making eye contact, or just making eye contact and smiling. In July, I will be happily married to a wonderful, beautiful, and intelligent powerhouse that has slaved Marcia for 16 years, and I consider myself to be the luckiest butch alive. She has continued... She didn't know about that part. She has continued to be a healing presence throughout all that time because I felt she was one of the first people to see me. There was a time that I would have never claimed the title butch, but she has healed me enough that I can wear it proudly now. You see, when I left my hometown to join the service, all the butches I knew were the women with minimal education, working dead-end jobs, and I always saw them bellied up to the bar in their regular chairs. It was just like Cheers. Good enough people, don't get me wrong, but I wanted something more. And every time I went home on leave, it was the same Cheers show, just another episode. So I fought that label. One day we were on our way to a conference with another friend, femme type, lucky me, and somehow the conversation turned to the fact that I didn't identify as butch. The other femme skewered me with a look in the rearview mirror and asked, "What the hell does he identify as then?" I didn't have an answer. But somehow having these two power femmes ask me and corner me like that suddenly made it all right to use the term butch. Another time we were going on a cruise, C-type, and I needed something to wear for formal night. My Levi's and dress shirt weren't going to work. Slave Marcia and I hadn't been together very long and hadn't gone clothes shopping before, at least not for me. If you know anything about femmes, you know we had been shopping for her a long time ago. She didn't know about that part either. I wandered through the women's section, picking things up and all but throwing them back on the racks. Slave Marcia saw this. And after a moment, she said, "Well, we'll try the men's section." I brightened and then dimmed immediately and started making excuses as to why we should, mostly because I didn't want the scrutiny of others who thought I had no business in the men's section. And here comes my femme to the rescue with, "Let's go to Nordstrom's. They won't raise a single eyebrow because their people are trained to deal with unusual situations with finesse." Well, we went. They didn't. And I got a wonderful Joseph Abboud tuxedo because my femme saw me. It was the best shopping expedition I'd ever been on. I have found over the years that there are times my femme knows me better than I know myself because she sees me. Some people don't feel like they need to be healed in any way, but they just want to be seen. And we can do that. Sometimes there are other things we can do that won't cost us anything but our time and patience and maybe a smile. We are on the road to recovery, and we need to triage the parts of our community and figure out what has worked, what hasn't, and where we are going now. Community healing may call for a restructuring of our priorities and resources to enrich the conditions that create health and stability for all. It is a dynamic process that will continue to evolve through trying different things and learning. But regardless of the process chosen by the community, the goal of healing is to restore a sense of balance and wellness for us all. We need to find the good and build on it, which might mean taking a deep look at ourselves and our gatherings to create a healthy and accepting community. Everyone here bears some responsibility for being a building block of our new and improved community. You are the first ones out the gate and are role models for those who have found us during the pandemic. They will be watching us to see how it's done, and we all need to remember this. You've all taken a healing step by being here. I challenge you to take a minute and reflect on the weekend so far. Have you just kind of slipped back into what was the norm 3 years ago? Or have you stopped and opened your heart and senses to this experience of Colorado Leather Fest 2022? If we are going to heal, it starts with you. You have to retreat to your heart and decide what it will take to feed your spirit. All right, now classwork. I want you to look at the person sitting across the table from you, and I mean really look at them. I want you to make eye contact and give them a genuine smile. I don't care if it's a shy smile that says, "Hi, I'd like to get to know you better," or that dirty little smile that says, "All right, bitch, I remember what you sounded like last night." Just do it. We have spent the past 2 years smiling at telephones and video cams. I wanted to make sure that you remember how to do it in real life again. Now look around you and smile at whoever the hell you want. Go ahead, I'll wait. Do it now. This is your community. How many times have you watched a show where the character suffers a tremendous loss? We hold our breaths and try not to cry while they discuss all the touching memories that break our hearts right along with theirs. And then they bring up some corny memory that makes everybody laugh and smile. It is that smile that lets us know that character is going to be okay. Healing takes time, but it's already beginning. Friendship and healing both begin with smiles, and we're already on our way. Our newer community is going to be rooted by the precedent we establish now. Let's do it by looking the other person in the eye and actually seeing them. So as Mr. Ward used to say on Fantasy Island, smiles, everyone, smiles. Now let's get out there and heal together.